Hey everybody, it's Liza Rogers, the founder of WREN, and we've got a full screen tonight. I feel like I'm on the Brady Bunch or something with all of the squares. So we have Randy Dick from the Eximus Real Estate team, and we have Lana and Ashley from the LA Mortgages team, and we are going to talk about what's happening in the Fraser Valley. And there's some really interesting developments out there, and we're also going to find out why the heck you need a mortgage broker, because we really do need a mortgage broker, don't we?
Yes.
So we'll wait a couple minutes for everybody to come online, and if you are joining us for the first time, if you are on GoToWebinar, which you are if you're joining us, if you're using it on your computer, you should be able to see a question box there, and you'll probably see an opening slide that says investing in the Fraser Valley with a picture of us. If you have a question, you can click on that little drop-down menu and ask a question in there. You can say hi, tell us where you're from, ask questions in there of Lana, myself, Ashley, and Randy, specific on the Fraser Valley or about real estate investing in general. We'll cover as much as we can in our 1 hour, and we'll give everybody a minute to just join us and get started, and I'll just see what we've got in that question box, see if anybody has said anything yet, and give me a minute here and just see what's happening, see who's here. Yes, we've got people signing on and saying hello. So that's great. We'll give everybody a couple more minutes because sometimes we have some fun with technology. And if you're on an iPhone, you might only be seeing the screen, or you might only be seeing the control panel. So if you just kind of swipe to one side, you will get the slides come up. So you'll actually get the slides. I have a couple of slides, and Randy's going to give us some stats on the Fraser Valley. And we've got a really nice document from Lana and Ashley, and we've got a couple of good investing scenarios that we'll go through as well. So we've got a couple documents to share, and we'll just give it another minute or two, and then we'll jump in and we'll get started. How are you guys tonight? How was your Canada Day?
It was awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, I had a great time. My wife and I, we were in Vancouver over the weekend celebrating our 32nd anniversary. And we stumbled to the Jazz Festival, which was a total surprise. And we had so much fun. Saw five concerts, and yeah, it was really awesome.
Fantastic. Did you end up in David Lamb Park, like outside somewhere?
For the concerts, and then we went to a really cool little restaurant club called Revel Room.
Yep.
In Gastown, and we saw this amazing man. He seemed like he had 8 octaves. Wow. His voice had 8 octaves. It wasn't, but I'm just exaggerating. But he was amazing. Yeah.
Fantastic.
A lot of fun.
Fantastic. And ladies, you had a good Canada Day long weekend?
It was good.
Yeah, ours was awesome.
Oh. Go ahead, Lana. You first.
We have an investment property actually up at Loon Lake, just past Cache Creek. It's recreational, so we've got a boat, and we were up there for the weekend, and it was lovely. Our son and his wife and new baby were up, so we had a nice visit.
That sounds awesome. And Ashley, what did you do?
I was also at Jazz Fest on Sunday, so that was super fun to check out.
Nice.
And then went kayaking as well, so that was fun. And I was also in Gibson, so it was good. It was a busy weekend.
All over the place. Beautiful. Yeah. It sure was the perfect weekend weather too, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Amazing. Yeah, it was awesome. Well, I spent the weekend with my mom, and she just about wore me out. She's the Energizer Bunny, and we just went nonstop from the minute she arrived until the minute I put her on the ferry. So cool. All right. Well, we'll give people a few more minutes, but we might as well jump in here. And so tonight we're going to be talking about investing in the Fraser Valley, and we have our 2 great sponsors tonight, and they are experts on the Fraser Valley. Actually, we have 2 great company sponsors, but 3 great people. So we'll talk a little bit more about them, and they're going to do a lot of the talking tonight. So let's see. I'm just going to scooch down onto my other slide here, see if we can get that. I always like to say a big thank you to Sherry Krause. For those of you who are on the webinar, You probably know Sherry well. She's been with us for quite a long time now, and she's one of our main sponsors, and I always like to give a shout out to Sherry. Sherry's got some exciting news coming up. I'm going to be catching up with her tomorrow, and I don't want to say anything because I want to let her make some announcement, but oh my God, she's got some exciting news, so I can't wait until she's able to fill you in on that. And of course, tonight is being brought to us by Lana Russell and Ashley Frasca with mortgage brokers with LA Mortgages. And Lana and Ashley have joined us recently, and we're so happy that you ladies are on board. It's just been a treat to get your newsletters and come out to the office and do events there. And I know that you've already had people connecting with you and asking about what services you offer and such. So really glad that that's working out, and thank you for supporting WREN. And of course, also Randy, new to the team too, and Randy and I have known each other for a couple of years, met through a good friend, Lori Finnegan, who I'm sure many of you know, and sort of continued to build on our relationship from a key WREN member who many of you know as well, Julia Piera. And Julia's getting excited. She's going to Portugal next week, so I know she's super busy, but Randy has also dove in, and Randy made a comment at the last event that he really loves working with women because we make such great investors. So,
Yes.
So thanks, Randy, for joining us, and we know you love pink. And it's been great having you on board as well. And your team is really growing, and you're in the news every day. It seems like every single time I look at Facebook or even see things just coming through my field of vision from other directions, your Eximus team is being mentioned somewhere. So, and is that the right way to pronounce it? Is it Eximus?
Eximus, yes.
Right. We want to make sure we're giving it the right pronunciation.
Doesn't matter what you say, as long as you call me.
As long as we call you Randy.
As long as you call me.
There we go. Awesome. Cool. So very, very grateful to have you here tonight. We did an event in the Fraser Valley. Gosh, was that a month ago? Almost. Hey, like, yeah, it's amazing how time flies. And we had that amazing team of people. We had Naomi and Matt and Jorian, and we talked about building your power team, building your projects and your partnerships, and got into some really great detail. Matt, I can't wait to talk to him a little bit more about taxation, and yeah, there were some really, really great things coming up. So that was terrific, and I can't wait to do that again. We're going to talk about doing it again towards the end of the webinar, because we're talking about coming out in September. And of course, there will be wine, and we're looking at a beautiful new development that has a wonderful presentation center. So we're going to talk about that at the end of the night. So a couple of things just as a reminder. Yes, WREN stands for WREN, the Women's Real Estate Network, but we do work with men as well, as you can see tonight by Randy. We like to make sure that people feel encouraged and enlightened and educated about investing in real estate and using it as an empowerment tool. We do work a lot with women, because women are driving the real estate market, specifically in North America, but they don't necessarily invest in the same way that men do. So we've decided to offer them their own platform, and we definitely welcome men. We just like everybody to know that we are really passionate about working with women, and we just like to make sure we provide a platform where women feel really comfortable about participating, and we're getting really great feedback on doing that. So guys, you're welcome to come out and learn how to invest like a woman. And so just another little slide here, just a reminder about what we're about. We are really passionate about connecting with like-minded people, and that's evident when we come out and get live and in person. There's always people in the room who are energized and excited about meeting other people who are doing the same thing that they're doing. We always have people saying things like, oh, I've been doing this by myself for so long, and now I found you guys. I don't feel so crazy or so alone, or you know, I've got someone to talk to when my parents tell me I'm nuts, or when my wife or my husband or my spouse or my kids tell me not to do this kind of thing. And then there's a whole room full of people doing it. So it's always exciting to actually connect with like-minded people. Collaboration, of course, is a big part of that, and creating and celebrating community. One of the passions for me in particular, and it's certainly evident in all of the conversations that I have with our speakers and our sponsors, that we're all really passionate about creating community, and we really like to make sure that everybody's winning. So everybody that's on this team is really passionate about making sure that people don't feel left out, that people feel included, and that there's a solution for everyone. And that's one of the things that really drives us. And so I'm really excited that we're able to bring people together to do that. So that's just another little highlight there. And I think what I'm going to do now, Randy, I'm going to give you the keys to the bus, and we're going to make you the presenter, and we'll talk a little bit about what's going on in the Fraser Valley. And I'd love for you to tell us a little bit about yourself and your team, and share a bit about what's going on in the Fraser Valley. So let me just click on this little change presenter button and get that going for you there. So you should have presenter capabilities in just a second.
Okay.
There we go, and we can see that now.
Awesome.
Cool. So you should be able to see Randy's slides there, and take it away, Randy.
Okay. Well, hey, a little bit of background on who I am. 27 years in the real estate industry, and I have a team of 5 agents plus myself that we work very hard for our buyers and sellers to help them find the right property or sell the property at premium dollars. And just to say who we are, Eximus, the Latin root of Eximus means uncommon, exceptional, extraordinary, and superb. So we kind of hang that banner, that name above everything that we do, and try to succeed to be Eximus in all that we do. So a little pitch on who I am and our company here in Abbotsford. And by the way, we serve the entire Fraser Valley.
Fantastic.
So let's talk a little bit about the market. And what I'm showing you on my screen is a snapshot of the marketplace. And I do this for all areas, from Whistler all the way through to Hope. So if this is of interest to you and you want to understand the market really well, subscribe to my monthly newsletter to get these stats, and you'll be an awesome expert on the market. In fact, you'll know the market better than most realtors if you just subscribe to these stats. Makes it really easy to understand. So what's been happening in the marketplace, and I wrote the blog that I just put out with these stats about appreciation and depreciation. Is the market going up or down, or should I be buying or not buying? And I used Kawhi Leonard as an example. Everybody probably knows who Kawhi Leonard is in Canada now because of the Toronto Raptors and what they did as far as getting an NBA title. But if you haven't heard this story, Kawhi is going to make $30 to $40 million in the next 4 to 5 years per year. And Kawhi still has a 2002 Tahoe that's worth about $500 that he drives. Believe it or not, and so reporters have asked him, like, Kawhi, why do you still drive this car? And he goes, well, it's paid off and it runs really well. So why would I sell it? What I love about that is the discipline that this man has, not only for the game of basketball, but the financial discipline as well, when he could afford anything. And of course, he probably has lots of nice vehicles parked in the garage, but it's just so refreshing to hear this pro athlete have that kind of discipline. And it got talking about, appreciation or depreciation. Do we buy assets that appreciate or depreciate? And so I always say buy an asset that's going to appreciate, which brings us to the topic of real estate. Is real estate really appreciating or not at this point? And so I'll come back to that thought. Is real estate appreciating or depreciating? After we kind of walk through these stats. So I'll quickly go through the Fraser Valley with these stats. And if you can see in front of you the stats, does everybody see that? Does the panel see that?
Yep. Can you, Allison, for example, I know you're always great with answering those questions. If you can let me know if you can see that, that would be great. I'm sure they can. That's a pretty awesome graph, by the way.
Right.
Yes.
So this is
yes.
4 years, and what I do is I like to highlight the month of last year, the same month the previous year, and the previous year. So this is 4 years basically, or 3 years of trends that are happening in 4 Junes. Help us understand what is happening in the marketplace. And this is White Rock detached, which is the most expensive marketplace in the Fraser Valley, and hence it is in a buyer's market. And so if you look at the stats and you see that red line, anytime that red line is below 14 to 17%, below the 14 percentile, it's in a buyer's market. 14 to 17% is in a balanced market. So balanced means that buyers and sellers have the same kind of opportunity to negotiate that deal when there's a deal happening. And if it's above the gray line, it's in a seller's market. And you can see that White Rock's really been in a buyer's market on the detached properties for quite some time. The top of the screen, you'll see White Rock, South Surrey detached sales. Now, if I go to the next slide is the townhomes. And you can see that townhomes, if you go to the right of your screen, it's at 14%, which is basically a balanced market. And I'm going to go to the next slide, which is condos for the same area. It's at 11%. So let's talk a little bit about the market before I roll through all these areas to give you an idea of what's happening in each area, which each property type. People talk about how quiet the market is, or how slow the market is, or how it's depressed. Well, you have to remember, if we go on this slide back to 2017, and we could see 49%, 37, 38 as a sell-through rate. Those were crazy, crazy numbers. And those are numbers that just, I don't know, it just wasn't real. That market wasn't real. So now that we've slowed down to what I would call a normal market or a balanced market, it feels very, very slow. It'd be like traveling down the highway at 200 kilometers an hour, and then you slow down to 100, which is speed limit, and you think, man, this is so slow. Yet it is speed limit. It's the normal speed. That's where we're at in most of the areas in the Fraser Valley, at a normal market or a normal speed of cycle of the market. And maybe just to clarify how that STR number or that red line comes about, I add up the active listings, which is the orange in those graphs. I add the failed listings, or the properties that didn't sell in that month. And then the red is the sale volume, or the sold units. And I add all those up and divide it by the sale volume, or the solds, to come up with that percentage, which just helps us understand how the market is spinning and turning. So let's just quickly go through areas. Here's Surrey Central, detached at 12%, but you can see how it was much higher in previous years. Townhomes, a little stronger, balanced market there. Surrey Central condos, 17%. Again, that's not a bad market. That's a balanced market. And then Surrey North, a little tougher there. The detached, again, if you look to the right corner of the screen, 9%. 13% for townhomes. 11% for condos. And this is Surrey North. Now we go to Cloverdale, which is the strongest part of the market in the month of June. And I don't know if you've noticed this, but if I went through every one of these slides, you'd see that we're down about 1% on every property type, every location from May to June, from month to month. Interesting enough, if I showed you the Vancouver stats, they're considerably softer. It's a much, much tougher market in the greater Vancouver area. However, between May and June, they moved up about a percentage on all of these stats. So interesting, tougher market, but a little bit better than the previous month in greater Vancouver. And in the Fraser Valley, a little bit softer than May, but a much better market than the greater Vancouver area. But Cloverdale was the best market. There's the detached market, 18%, 16% on the townhomes, for the month of June, and 23 in condos, which is very good. So again, looking at 23%, 55 active condos for sale, 11 didn't sell and came off the market, and 20 sold in the month of June. So that gives you a bit of an idea. And I'll quickly go through some of these others. Langley, detached, Langley townhomes, Langley condos. Still not a bad market in Langley. We go to Maple Ridge, 12%, bit of a buyer's market there. In the detached townhomes at 16, balanced there. And condos balanced again. Abbotsford, 12% as detached. Townhomes were 13, just touching into the balanced, and condos were at 19. So if there's anything you've picked up here, the single family market is the slowest, which is the most unaffordable. I'll come back to that as well. Townhomes are probably then the next, and condos are moving the freest, or the most active as far as the market. Let's not talk about appreciation and depreciation that Kawhi Leonard inspired me to write about.
And Randy, we'll make sure that we post that blog on the WREN site as well. So I'll scoop that up. Is that on your website now?
It is, yes.
Okay, we'll grab that and share it with our group too.
Okay.
Oh, did Randy freeze?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yep, can hear you now.
Okay. I'm just going to come back to my screen. Okay. So, when we talk about appreciation, depreciation, real estate is always appreciating. In fact, it's appreciating right now, even in Vancouver, and we don't know it. We think it's depreciating. But over time, it's slowly working. And if you're an investor, it's always appreciating because you're paying down your mortgage. So property is always appreciating. And it has a different cycle. Sometimes it's slow at appreciating, but it's still appreciating. And there's other times it gets supercharged, like it's been for the last 3, 4, 5 years. It's been supercharged. So I would always say, hey, if you're looking for something to spend some money on that's an appreciating, always look at property. Always look at property. Now, when we talk about what's the most affordable property, remember I said detached looks like the least affordable when we look at the stats. When we look at making the numbers work as far as cash flow, the best cash flowing properties are the single family homes with the suites. We can make those cash flow much better than a condo or a townhouse. Townhouses and condos, the strata fees just really, really make it challenging. And we can double up on the rent with the single family home with an up and down. There's substantial opportunity. Right now I have a coach home for sale, a property with a coach home that is also suitable. So you could actually have 3 rentable units and it cash flows very well. It's brand new at $900,000 and it's cash flowing around $550 a month.
Wow.
Which is unheard of.
That's fantastic. And that hasn't been bought yet?
It hasn't been bought yet. No.
Oh. Can you send me that listing?
Where have you been?
So that's a little bit of a market update. I can certainly go in more depth, but that should give a bit of an overview on where we're at in the marketplace.
That's awesome, Randy. And I think one of the things that that's interesting is, where do these numbers come from, right? Like what's driving the economy? Like why is Cloverdale catching on right now? I mean, I know that we talk a lot about the economic fundamentals. Is transportation to Cloverdale getting better? Are people still commuting to Vancouver? Are more people working remotely? Is it because Cloverdale is the last affordable bastion on the Lower Mainland? So what's driving some of the stats that we're seeing?
That's a great question. There's this saying that I say, drive till you qualify. And so there's people that are living, yeah, drive till you qualify, man.
Awesome.
So there's people that live in Vancouver and it's finally, okay, I got to buy a house. I got to buy a townhouse or a condo. it's time. And so they start driving out to the valley and they look for neighborhoods that feel like the neighborhood they're living in, which Cloverdale has a really nice feel to it. And so I think that's one of the reasons why you're seeing, some of these outlying areas doing really well in comparison to Vancouver's market. The other thing is these communities, whether it's Surrey, South Surrey, North Surrey, Cloverdale, Langley, Fort Langley, they all cycle through, and sometimes it's almost like a ripple effect coming down the valley. So Cloverdale could get really busy, which if there's lots of property selling in Cloverdale, somebody's selling, and where are they going?
Mm-hmm.
And often they come down the valley, which is really interesting. Years ago, people would maybe move 2 cities down the valley because they didn't want to give up all their friends. They didn't want to give up some of the things that they had. Maybe it's a community of some sort or a church or whatever it may be. But what I'm finding now is that people are willing to move 3, 4, even 5 communities down the valley. And I think part of that's the demographics. So as people are getting closer to retirement, they're saying, to this with their job,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to shut down early. I'm going to retire early. I'm going to cash out my place, and I'm going to go 5 cities down the valley and buy a mansion, a brand new mansion. And I just sold a dump in downtown Vancouver, and I'm going to put half of that money in the bank. I call those people halfers.
Right.
Not halfers, but halfers. And they put half the money in the bank, and then they use the other half to be mortgage free on a brand new house down in the valley. So it kind of ripples down the valley.
Fantastic. And I know that being here over on the island, we've seen a lot of that happen. I moved over to Vancouver Island, it's over 5 years ago now, because I was running out of opportunities on the mainland and got into the market in Victoria just in time. And sure enough, over the last 3 years, I've had lots of friends in Vancouver cashing in and moving over here. And I've got 2 or 3 calls this weekend with people who are still saying, hey, I'm thinking of coming over to Victoria. I've got to talk to you about how you did it and is it a good time to leave Vancouver? So people are still cashing in, cashing out of Vancouver, like you say, taking that opportunity to cash out, pay full, pay cash and sit on their beautiful property and then invest it in something else, whether that's a cash flowing residential property, or some people are investing in apartment buildings or multifamily or commercial. And it's interesting. I had a gentleman, you were talking just a minute ago about investing in real estate. You've got an asset that you can see and touch, and he was thinking of investing in a restaurant. I was like, dude, right? Don't do it. Why would you invest in a restaurant when you can invest in real estate and you've got an asset that you can see and that is going to produce money? And he's like, oh yeah, God, that just makes so much sense. So it's really interesting how, just that
Or a
whole
good joint venture partner.
What's that?
Or a great joint venture partner.
Exactly. Yep. There you go. Perfect joint venture partner. Yeah. There's a joke. How do you become a millionaire as a restaurateur? You start as a billionaire.
Right.
Nice.
Right.
Yeah. So yes, the perfect joint venture partner. Exactly. All right. Well, that's great, Randy. And I know we're going to come back to you, but let's meet the lovely ladies from LA Mortgages who hosted our event recently. Lana Russell and Ashley Frasca, and I'll just I'll change the screen so we're not confused and excited about the stats that we're seeing there, and I'll just take this little control back, and I'll put up our little slide that we had at the beginning so it's not distracting, and we can meet Lana and Ashley. So Lana and Ashley, if you want to tell us a little bit about yourselves and your organization. And again, just from my point of view, we've only been working together for a short period of time, but you've been so professional and reaching out with just great support, and it's just been amazing. So I probably didn't do a very good job of taking the screen back, I think there. Hey, let's try that again. Technology. We'll do that before we dive in, because we don't want to be Let's give that a try. Okay, there we go. There, now we're not going to be distracted. So, Lana, do you want to take it away?
Sure. My name is Lana Russell. I am a mortgage professional. I've worked in the lending business for 30 years. I worked for one of Canada's major 5 banks for 25 years. And I started as a teller. I ended my career as a branch manager. And then 4 years ago, I started my own mortgage franchise. And Ashley also worked at the same bank, different branch. And we both quit at the same time. I started Dominion Lending Centers, the professionals. And from there, Ashley and I branched off into LA Mortgages, which is just L for Lana, A for Ashley Mortgages. And I've just always enjoyed mortgage financing for clients. There's so many different things that you can do in regard to finance. You can utilize the equity in your home to purchase investment properties. Helping clients get into their first home is always very exciting. And then from there, they grow other investment properties. And we've seen through the different meetings that we've had that there are a number of people that don't own properties yet, and they're wanting to get into their first. So one of the really nice things about working with a mortgage broker is that we work with so many different lenders, and each lender has a box that they fit clients in. And the nice thing that we're able to do is, you know, we've got so many different lenders, there's so many different opportunities for those clients that don't fit traditional lending. Maybe they've had an issue with credit in the past. Maybe they're wanting to invest with other people. We've had clients recently, a lot of parents assisting their children in regard to financing because it is getting more difficult and more expensive. So parents are taking equity out of their home to invest in their children's home, and then they're going on title with them to help them with financing. So we've seen quite a bit more of that lately. A lot of people investing in the properties that Randy was talking about with suites in the basement. Those are certainly a mortgage helper, and but mortgages have always been my favorite thing. So that's why we started the mortgage franchise 4 years ago, and it's growing, and we just love helping clients get ahead.
That's fantastic. And you've got a lovely office in Langley, and you're working with your daughter, which is so exciting.
I am. Yeah.
So Ashley, tell us a little bit about yourself. And you know, I have to say that Ashley, having you as part of the team, because there are so many young women. Like when I first started WREN, it actually started because there were so many young women who feared that they would never be able to get into the market. And so we started having these conversations about thinking outside the box. So it's really awesome to have such a young woman on the team who is really relatable to other young women and can say, look, you know, you can do it, it is possible. Yeah, it's great to have a mom-daughter team. I think it's fantastic. Go ahead, Ashley.
I was just gonna say one thing that's neat from just today is like education is key, and I feel that with people learning from these webinars or information sessions, you know, they're able to actually take that information and put it into practice or build their power team. So yeah, my name is Ashley. I've been a mortgage broker for 4 years, and then prior to that, I worked for Scotiabank for 9. I've always been in residential mortgage lending, and but have worked alongside partners my whole career with regards to commercial lending and things that, you know, I might not know everything about, but I deal with partners who, you know, I can reach out to and assist.
Fantastic. And I think one of the things that I was talking with someone recently was if you work with a good mortgage broker, you can tell your mortgage broker everything. So, yeah. So I can see Randy smiling. He probably knows what I'm alluding to here. But a lot of times you go into the bank and you'll say things and it'll immediately send off like red flags. And so they will have made the decision about lending to you before you even left the branch or filled out the application, because you've said things that are red flags to them. Whereas when you go to a mortgage broker, you can sit down with your mortgage broker, you can work through all of the details, you can, you know, put all of your cards on the table, and your mortgage broker is going to figure out how to make that work in your favor, and helping you to make sure that you're put in touch with the right lender. So have you ever had any scenarios like that where you've been like, oh my goodness, if you hadn't gone to the bank first, we probably could have helped you, or oh my goodness, it's so great that you came to us because now we can actually help you? Like don't tell the bank that you're leaving your job in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Or your husband's
You know,
died.
it's interesting.
Or your husband's died. Have you've had that one, Randy? Yeah, I can just imagine. Oh my goodness, yeah. The bank should be the last person to know that your spouse has died, right? One of my investment planner friends told me that. The bank should be the absolute last organization to know.
And it's funny that you say that, because it is a conversation that we have, because oftentimes when we get to the point where, you know, subject removal, we've signed documents, they're removing subjects, but they might not take possession for a month or 2 or longer. Sometimes they're like, okay, well, I can go buy that car, or I can go buy a boat. And no, you should not. So it is a conversation, and we've actually had that situation happen, where they've, you know, the lender has done another credit bureau check, because they can technically at any moment, and there was a boat loan after the fact. So we actually had to refinance the truck loan to amortize that back out in order to get debt servicing in line. But it was like panic attack moment, and then also helped us put a procedure in place where, like, it's a, you know, a document that we go over before subject removal, so that it's very clear, don't go buy a boat.
and you know, we think of that as maybe being common sense, right? But some people would say, oh, I've just gone and bought a house, so it's only going to make sense, and now I'm going to have the boat. So this is where
it's complete.
This is where having this team of people and having the mortgage brokers that you can sit down and discuss everything with is so helpful. Because if you said a lot of those things to the bank, you'd write yourself out of your application, really. So that's so cool. So any changes that just, you know, we think about the market, things haven't changed as madly as they did with the speculation tax and the new step code and all the rest of it. But are there any significant things that have happened maybe in the last few months that people should know about, that are going to make it better or worse for them to receive a mortgage?
I would just say that if anything, rates specifically kind of across the board, whether it's a residential primary residence or an investment property, rates have come down. So that's always a good thing. I think it's an awesome time to get into the market. And it'll be interesting to see Bank of Canada, their last meeting, they kept interest rates the same, so there was no move, but it will be interesting to see in the months to come if we do see a change in the prime lending rate, or if it stays the same. So, but yeah, as far as you know, news, rates have mostly just kind of been on the decline,
which is great.
Usually, usually when the spring comes around, the interest rates do have a tendency to decline. So in the fall, going into the winter, we'll input rate holds for clients, and those rate holds can be up to 120 days. In the spring, when rates are on the decline, we don't always put in interest rate holds for our clients, because it may be detrimental to the interest rate that we can obtain for them. A lot of the lenders come out with promotions. And with those promotional rates, if they already had an application in place, we wouldn't be able to take advantage of that. So there is a strategy around everything to do with financing, and that strategy changes from person to person.
Right. Right.
And, you know, it's never all about interest rate for clients.
Well, for example, there was the 10-year rate that the banks are talking about right now, and some people are saying, "Oh my God, that's great, a 10-year rate," and other people are saying, "Yeah, not for me, thank you very much." So it really does depend on the client and their situation, and that's why it's so great to have a mortgage broker and a realtor who are investor focused, because it's not one size fits all. You're not doing a cookie cutter kind of. You know, I mean, when I think of my story of coming from Australia and working on contract and having a background in tourism and events, I mean, I knew that there was no way that I would fit into the nice little cookie cutter box that the banks like, because I was you know, I took a personality test. Apparently I'm a maverick. So banks don't like mavericks. So someone like me, you know, I definitely need to be reaching out to mortgage brokers and investor focused realtors, and at the event we did a couple weeks ago, the team that was there, the accountant Matthew Fern, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Amazing.
Yes.
I mean, some of the things that he was talking about that nobody's talking about.
Right.
We definitely need to connect with him and Naomi from the legal perspective of, you know, a joint venture. You know, don't use a template. You know, like that might give you some ideas so you understand some of the words that are in there, but you need to be defining these things and making them work for your scenario. So cool. And I know, actually, speaking of scenarios, we have a couple of scenarios. Now, before I jump into sharing those scenarios that you shared with me, Lana, do you want, or Randy, do you want to talk about anything else that we've just covered?
I'm good.
Okay, let's jump over to those couple of scenarios here.
Sure.
So I can probably make this bigger. Can you see that okay on the screen? Scenario 1?
I don't quite see it yet.
Okay, it'll probably take a second to come up. Let's see if it comes up.
While you're doing that, Liza, I think I'd say that, you know, the main reason to be working with a mortgage professional is because we are on the client side. We work with a number of different lenders, but we're not beholding to any one. Our primary focus is the client. And so our job is to listen primarily to what that client has to say, and then we take all that information and find the best interest rate and the best product to fit that client's needs and goals.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's, you know, definitely for those of us who are outside the box, you know, we really need that for sure. That's a big part of it. All right, can you see that scenario 1? Awesome. So we were talking about this earlier today, and what we wanted to do is just take a minute and talk about a couple of scenarios where having a mortgage broker and having an investor focused realtor is really going to be helpful. And I love this. I think you were getting this veterinarian ready when I was out for the event, which was, gosh, I think we figured out it was a month ago. So do you want to tell us a little bit about this scenario? Because this is really cool, and I think this is something that people are not going to be aware of. And I'm just going to change my. It's sunny here, so I'm loving sitting in the sun. So I've got a big shadow, but that's not a big deal.
So this is a young couple that I had helped get into their first home. And I knew that it'd be coming down the line, but we just didn't think that it'd be coming as fast as it was, the opportunity to purchase a vet practice. So anyways, what we were able to look at, the number one issue was because the capital was used for the residential purchase of their townhome, there were no funds left over for, you know, any type of capital for this type of investment. So although you know, if worse came to worse, they could get gifted funds or a vendor take back from the current seller. But because of her work and that she's a vet, we are able to do 100% financing. So the 100% financing was for the purchase price of 1.8, and then in addition, they're wanting to convert, do a small reno to have an additional room. So they're able to do financing for that, as well as do an operating line of credit and Visa. So really it was kind of packaged all in one. And it was 100% financing, which was awesome.
It's fantastic. And so just to reiterate for people who might be doctors or dentists or lawyers or so this is really something that is a product that a lot of professionals probably don't even know that they could take advantage of. Mm-hmm. So for example, if you're a lawyer and you are paying rent in the building that you work in, you could literally move into a building and basically receive 100% financing for it. And in this case, they got even more than 100% financing because they added in money to do renovations, and they've got a credit line and a Visa card. So, I mean, that's probably adding up to what, like 120, 130% financing?
Yeah.
So that's a super powerful opportunity, right? It's like, yeah. I want to go out and partner with my lawyer or my doctor or my dentist, because I'm sure most of them do not own the buildings that they work in. And do they have to be new buildings or old buildings, or is there a preference there, or does that matter? Or
so this in particular was for the so it's a lease, so it was a AAA net lease. So this was particularly for buying out the vet practice, not the building.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
The long-term goal, because this couple, they're both professionals. And they're my age, they're early 30s. Wow. And the long-term vision for them is to have their own building down the road.
Fantastic. So they can figure out a way to do that, and they could probably get some pretty good financing for buying that building as well.
Yeah.
Very exciting. That's awesome. So that's an awesome success story. And so there's another one here. Let me just skip down here and pull this up. So this is also pretty exciting. So this is one that you also just did recently, third residential investment property purchase. So this is, again, we just want to cover a couple of scenarios. You're working with a mortgage broker, thinking outside the box. And do you want to tell us a little bit about how this one worked?
So this one, when somebody who is looking for the best options available with regards to their third rental investment property. The location is Lower Mainland, could be Okanagan as well. And they're more so, they haven't acted on something yet, but wanted to know, what are the options available. So when I had looked at, personal income with debt servicing on the current two rental properties, we could qualify for about $400,000 in traditional financing with an A lender with best rates. But with a net worth program, which we have available to us, we could look at a higher purchase price of $1 million with 35% down. So we could actually get a larger mortgage for about $650,000. So just gives a little bit more wiggle room, even though, debt service ratios traditionally for a lender were higher. This program is suited for somebody who basically, if they qualify for 4 and in this case needed $250,000, we have to show $1 of asset investable, like liquid assets, per $1 of additional mortgage required.
Yeah. So again, something that you wouldn't necessarily stroll into the bank and find. So those are two great examples of why you would want to sit down with a mortgage broker, and in particular, Lana or Ashley. And Randy, I know you've got something that you want to share with us. I think I can even bring up the website. So just before we switch over and have a look at Natura, because I think it'd be really worth having a look at that. Lana and Ashley, is there anything else? We're about 7:50 p.m., so we've got about 10 or 15 more minutes, and I'm going to see if there's any questions coming up while we shift over. Anything else that you want to? I said this hour would go really fast, didn't I? It just flies by. Anything else before we switch over to having a look at Randy's Natura development that he's got coming up?
I would talk quickly about the home equity chip reverse mortgage. We are able to provide that for clients, and it's for clients 55 years of age or older. So sometimes people are over 55, they've never owned a home, they don't have a down payment. We can utilize that program to get them into a mortgage. And you know, the financing is amazing. They don't have to make any payment on that. We had a client that sold a commercial building and wanted to purchase a property in White Rock. So the purchase price was about 2.1%. The purchase price was 2.1 million. He had a little over 1 million available to him because he had sold a commercial building, and we were able to finance over 800,000 for him. So he's got this beautiful property in White Rock, and he doesn't have to make any mortgage payments on it. So it is a great product available to some clients over 55.
Absolutely. And I know that you and I are talking about that with my mom, for example, because she's got equity in her house, she's retiring, or she's actually retired. And so she wants to tap into some of that. And so we've been waiting for the Canada Day celebrations to be over before we dive back into reality. But yeah, definitely of interest, especially for seniors on a fixed income. And so there's some great products out there that are really, really great to take advantage of. So thanks for the reminder on that one as well. Cool. So Randy, let's jump over to, I'm gonna just pop up to the website here because I've got it open and it looks gorgeous. This is Natura on the Forest Edge.
On Forest Edge, yeah.
Yeah, it looks amazing.
Yeah. Really fun development. I've been involved in it from selling the dirt to going through the whole charrette process of designing this building. And I was mentioning to you earlier, Liza, that we hired a fellow by the name of David Ellison to actually help us design this building. And I think this is really good information to understand what makes a good building a good investment building as well. So that rather than going through demographics to help understand who the potential buyer would be, we hired a fellow named David Ellison that did value graphics. And what David did was he gathered about 3,000 surveys by describing this property and saying, asking questions. Would you like to live in a forest? And what would you like if you lived on a forest in the building? And so forth and so forth. And basically it came down to, or distilled, 4 different types of buyers that were really keen on this site. So rather than building a building and hoping we've built the right building for the demographics, we actually looked for values that people were looking for and then built a building around that. And I think that's cool because not only are we, building a building that fits people that are looking for something like that, but as an investment, I think you would attract a better tenant, a greater value in what those tenants are looking for. And so I always share with people, this is how I would invest. I'd find the perfect location, then I'd find the perfect property, and then I would ask the perfect rent. So premium location, premium property, and then I receive premium rents, and I usually find a better tenant that sticks around longer and is probably a lot more owner-occupied type tenant that appreciate, pride of ownership in a building.
It's
so, go ahead.
I was just going to say it's a beautiful concept, and I know that it fits really well with all of the things that we talk about with WREN.
Yes.
You know, we talk about the 5 wins. We talk about building community. We talk about, you know, if you're going to invest in real estate, you know, try not to diminish anything, add to the community, provide something of value, and with the whole movement that's going on towards co-housing, co-sharing, co-working, more communal spaces where people can gather, because the crisis that's happening in North America right now, health-wise, a lot of it comes from deep levels of loneliness and depression. And
Right.
so when we are building homes that help to bring us together rather than keep us in our silos, we're actually solving a lot of problems. And it all comes down to that whole sustainability piece.
Yeah.
It's so super. So social impact investing, community investing. I mean, it may not have those monikers, but it definitely, like, I love the value graphics study. It just makes so much sense. It's the way we need to do more and more things in the future.
So the 4 highlights, you touched on some of them. We found that people, well, first of all, they're workaholics, so they work 60 hours a week or more. They love community, so our lobby looks like a Starbucks lobby because we want workspace and we want people to interact with one another. Sustainability was another one. So our building is going to be 50% more economical to live in as far as heating and cooling than the average property, because we've made it sustainable. We've also future-proofed it for solar panels, et cetera, et cetera. And then the last piece, of course, people want to be in nature. There's the lobby. So looks like a Starbucks.
Fantastic. I want to live there.
Well, let's host a WREN meeting at the sales center. It's a beautiful sales center. It's 5,000 square feet. We have a full mocked up display of the 2-bedroom and den.
Fabulous. So that will probably be in September. So we've already started talking about doing the event on the mainland at the Natura Center in September. So we'll pick a date for that. We'll make sure that we can all be there, and we'll see where Julia and Shelley are, and of course Lana and Ashley will be there, and we will have a nice big event, and of course there will be wine. We talked about that earlier, and Randy, there's one other thing just before I see if we've got any questions, and I know we're going to start to run out of time. You and I were chatting earlier, and I noticed that whiteboard behind you. And as we're always talking about, you know, goal setting and what do you do to keep your momentum going, tell us about this, because I think this is fantastic. It's such a great visual, and I'd love for you to share a little bit of information about your wealth chart before we finish off for the night.
Yeah, my wealth chart, basically I've organized it in people that I really want to communicate with, and they are, I'm using it in a different way, but I think this would be really great for finding joint venture partners. But my wealth chart is all the people that I've been communicating with over the last 6 months that I've got a connection with, that I'm looking to build a relationship with way beyond just helping them buy and sell property. And having them invest with me, or I invest with them, and collaborate together. And so when I have success, then they fall down into certain groupings. And my goal is to have 25 wealth partners. And I don't know if you can see this, but I'm working on my bottom row. You probably can't see that, but these are all my A's. And these are my B's, C's, D's, and I'm working them up into my grouping where they're they're investing with me and I'm investing with them.
That's fantastic. So again, it goes back to that visual, and if you want something to happen, it's taking action. We always talk about, you know, if you want something, you got to manifest it, you've got to write it down, you've got to put a visual of it, and that's just a great reminder that all of these things are possible. But they've got to be kind of in your field of vision, and you've got to take action on them. So thank you for sharing that. And I think I saw a couple questions in here, so I'm just going to jump in. There was a comment about restaurants are a money pit. Yes, they are. Yes, the joke about how do you become a millionaire? Start by being a billionaire. Yes, so I don't think anybody with a lot of, I don't know, real good sense would choose a restaurant over a real estate venture. So that's a good one. Does the doctor actually work in the purchased building? So I think that was referring to the scenario that we were talking about. So there's a couple of different scenarios. You were talking, Ashley, about he bought the business and he's leasing the building. And then I know that one of my colleagues over here, they bought the building and moved the practice into it and also had a similar kind of financing. So definitely, if you are friends with a doctor or a dentist or a lawyer or a professional, make sure you reach out to Lana and Ashley. They have an amazing commercial mortgage broker that they work with, Jorian, who was at the event, and Jorian was really talking about some super exciting things that you can do in the commercial world. And so, yeah, definitely worth having a conversation there and exploring that. I know that's definitely something that I want to explore. There's some really cool, they used to be single family homes over here on Vancouver Island. They're like 6-8 bedroom homes that people don't live in anymore. So they've been converted to commercial spaces. They'd make great buildings to work out of. So I think those would be sort of fun. And some feedback. Yeah, so it looks like we are going to probably finish up for tonight. It is 8:02. And I think, looks like my little slideshow for the evening is stuck, so that's not a big deal because it was just a slide showing what's coming up next. And so we've talked about the next WREN event on the mainland will be at the Natura Center. So I think we've got a rough date somewhere mid-September after the Labor Day weekend. September 11th or 12th is ringing a bell, but we'll of course post it on the, we'll update it on the site as soon as we've got it confirmed. And we've got the next webinar coming up. Really excited to be bringing Frank Rolfe, who is the 5th largest owner of mobile home parks in the US. He's going to be talking about his mobile home park investments. And of course, Joan Probert, who many of you know, my mobile home park partner, went to Mobile Home Park University, so he's the founder of Mobile Home Park University, and he's going to talk to us about the good, the bad, the ugly, and the beautiful about mobile home parks. So that should be fun. That's coming up on July 17th. And Randy, Lana, and Ashley, thank you so much for doing the webinar with me tonight. It's always fun to have a group of people talking about real estate and, you know, thinking outside the box and building your team. And I think one thing we didn't really say tonight, but I think it kind of came out anyway, is there's no stupid questions. You know, you're in a safe place. You've got people who want to support you. And so never be afraid to reach out to people like Randy and Lana and Ashley, because they're not going to judge you. They're not going to make you feel silly. They want to provide you with great service. They want to help you either get started or continue on your journey. And being in your presence in the way that I have been in the last little while, getting to know you all, I can attest to that. I mean, you know, people have just felt super comfortable with all of you and feel that they're really being well taken care of. And so, so we really appreciate it. And we really appreciate you helping grow our little nest. It's going to get bigger and better over the next couple months. I'm doing a big focus group next week. And we've got some really exciting announcements coming up for the fall. And so we'll be taking Randy and Lana and Ashley and Julia and Shelley and Joan and Mia and all of the people that are joining us, and Allison and all of our regulars onto an even bigger journey. So, and we're launching in Toronto, so that's happening too.
Good.
So yeah, so thank you so much. And any last words before we shut this baby down for the night and go and enjoy this beautiful sunset?
All good.
Thank
All
you
good.
for having us.
Awesome. Thank you. Thanks for joining us tonight. Thanks for the great information. And of course, if you want to get in touch with Randy, Lana, and Ashley, either reach through the WREN site. All of their information is there, or send me an email and I'll put you in touch with them directly, and sign up for their newsletters. They've got great content, and we'll get that blog posted, Randy, in the next day, that new blog post that you've got as well. So have a great night, everybody. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you later. Good night. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.